Happy Wednesday, May 5th. Feliz Cinco de Mayo. I hope you all are making some sort of delicious lettuce tacos at some point today. I don't know about you guys, but I'm super excited about what we're shifting into with this book. I am going to start these calls with some quick announcements because I want to make sure that this is a central place where everyone can get a reminder of what's going on this month. And then we're going to dive right in. This morning's is going to be at supersonic speed because we have 3 chapters to go through instead of 2. So really quick announcements. Don't forget to check your online office tonight because tomorrow is payday and rank advancement day. And so if you're pushing for emeralds or you want to make sure your emerald status is secure so you get those team cycle bonuses, make sure that you're active. Active is 50 PV as an emerald coach. If you're pushing for diamond, make sure that you check your online office there for all those requirements as well. An active diamond coach is 100 PV. Don't forget those things. Our CEO promo codes expire tonight. So definitely no promo code left behind. I highly recommend using this second chance of promo codes to follow up with people instead of marketing it on social media, because we already marketed like this never happens before, once in a lifetime, $40 off. And now you're like, actually twice in a lifetime. And to me, it makes us feel, I don't know, it lowers our credibility. So I am using those in follow-ups. Hey, I have this promo code expires today. I'm not sure if now is a better time, but I wanted to follow up with you because it's a crazy deal. After today, your focus is going to be on the Summer Strong sale. So all challenge packs across the board, $150 or above, are $20 off. All challenge or completion packs, $150 or above, are $20 off. So that's a huge promo that you could run with this entire month to get people ready for summer. We have the Take Action Challenge still happening. So make sure that you're filling out your trackers. Go through, those are the actions needed to grow your business. So don't waste your time doing things that are not on that tracker. Complete all the things on your digital tracker to enter and win a mixed fitness bike, a Riviera Maya trip. So many fun giveaways they're doing. Also this month, all of the To Be Mindset and Ultimate Portion base kits, it's like the physical kits that people can buy, are at $20 off. That's huge if you have people who are wanting to focus on their nutrition. I personally think that there's something really valuable about holding those materials in your hands. Even though everyone gets digital access with the challenge packs, there's something about, especially like Ultimate Portion Fix, if someone's doing Portion Fix and that workbook in your hands is so different than the digital copy. So make sure that like your people know that. If you're talking to someone who does CrossFit and they just want nutrition, hook them up. That's an awesome way to serve people. A recap on our weekly calls. I have my assistant working on a team calendar, so hopefully it'll be done today, so you have this in front of you. But as a reminder of, these are calls that are opportunities for you. You do not need to make them all, but I want to make sure that you know that they're there for you to serve, so you can pick and choose what is best for what you need. Starting Sundays for the rest of this month, I will be hosting coach webinars at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. Some of those will be with other coaches. This next week will just be me going through it because I want to go through it, have a quick recording that can be 30 minutes or less to share with people. Mondays, 5:30 Pacific time is the Slay Squad call. So that's my upline. Liz Hartkey has partnered with other 15-star diamond coaches, and they do calls Mondays at 5:30. I don't post those in our team page because I post in there a lot. If you want access to those, let me know, and I'll add you to the Difference Maker Movement, which is my upline team page, or I can add you to the Slay Squad Facebook page. Those are really valuable for like next level leadership and growth in your business. Wednesdays, obviously, we have our team calls. Thursdays, they're normally at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time, are for new coach mentorship. So any new coaches in our entire organization are welcome to call in. Myself, Melissa Galmay, and Abby Burgess run those. Usually it's together. Sometimes we split them up. And that is, we usually, hey, no, We cover a topic, but we also answer any questions that you have as a new coach. And it's a great community. Along with that, we have a new coach mentorship message thread where you can ask any coach any questions as a new coach, get to know other new coaches. We post some new coach specific stuff in there. So if you're not in there and you'd like to please let me know. That's all for calls. And then the last, the diamond message thread I just started this week. And that is for those of you who have expressed interest in growing your team to diamond by summit, which is an exciting goal. I think the specific date is July 15th. But in order for that to be reality, we have to start now. We have to start now and being intentional about getting your coaches signed up, being specific about helping those coaches sign up 2 people to get to Emerald, what that looks like. So in order for accountability purposes, I created a message thread for that. If you're not in it and you want to be, please let me know. And then lastly, next week, we have a little bit of a schedule change.
Very nice.
We have a very special guest speaker. Anita Myron is speaking to our team. Anita has been a coach for, I think 10 plus years. She's been a top 10 coach, multiple time elite coach. For those of you who've been around Beachbody for a while, you know her name. She's very much a powerhouse, and she wanted me to teach her team about Shakeology. And I said, okay, but only if you speak to my team first. So she's actually going to be on our normal team call time at 9 a.m. next week. And I'm going to pick a different time to do this call. And I know that's a lot. So you can pick one, you could be on both. But I just wanted to give you guys a heads up because I don't want us to slow down our progression of this book either. So I'll probably I need to see my kids, like what's going to work best. But I might do it at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. or right after at 10 a.m. It's going to depend on what my husband can help me with. So those are the announcements. A lot going on. Again, all this will be in the calendar as soon as I get it up. Okay, so let's dive in. I made some notes to guide us through and keep us on track here. First of all, if you are not completely caught up on this book, don't worry. Don't worry. I want you to do the best you can and not stop because this is such a powerful process, learning through this. Did anyone get wave at me or shake your head if you got some powerful nuggets going through what you did go through with these first 3 chapters? Did anyone have any aha moments oh my gosh, that's so true. Oh my gosh, that's where I'm lacking. Oh my gosh. I definitely did. So in the beginning, he writes about growth equals change. And I think that that's a really important thing for us to remember. So many people want to grow and want to be influential and want to be successful, but they're not willing. Liam, don't do that again. They're not willing to change. Liam, sorry. Don't do that again. Go sit down, please. They're not willing to change, and then they don't grow, and then they feel like they're broken, right? How many times have we done that or seen people do that? Okay, so in the beginning, there's a leadership evaluation feedback, that questionnaire to rate yourself on the numbers. I would love to know, you guys, you can either unmute yourself really quick and share or put it in the chat. What were your strongest and weakest areas? Or what was your strongest and your weakest area? Really quick, because I was going to write this down.
I'll go.
Yeah.
I feel like I was pretty strong on the first couple, the first couple, law of the lid, law of influence, law of process. But as I was getting through it, I saw I needed more work in the middle section of it. And then definitely at the very end, I'd say the last 5 were my weakness areas. and it all kind of made sense when I reflect back in places I felt like I wasn't successful.
Was it helpful for you to kind of like see that on paper?
Yeah, and even going through the reading and stuff, I mean, even though those were the areas that I felt I had my stronger points, it was I just love that the fact that it was able to expand my understanding about leadership and it being about influence and management. And I mean, just even across the board in some of my other, like at work and stuff like that, it really, it kind of hits home about like what some of my frustrations are, even working with other, leadership, positions and stuff.
Right. That's awesome. Totally agree. Well, thank you for sharing, Maria. Anyone else want to share? Even if it's in the chat. And if you haven't done this, make sure you do. Because this is an important assessment tool because you don't know how to grow unless you know what you need to grow in,
I think my biggest weakness is the law of the process because I know I'm not consistent. There'll be some days where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and I'll get a bunch done. And then other days where I don't get anything done and that'll, snowball into the next few days. And then like a week goes by and I haven't, gotten anything done that I wanted to do. And then it kind of starts all over again. So I find that as just being my biggest weakness because I know if I was actually doing the process, doing the activity tracker and all of that every day, that I could, all of the other things I feel like could fall into place.
I love that. How are you on the law of priorities? That was my weakest one.
I don't know. I'm not, hold on, let me go to that.
So that's number 17 in that questionnaire. Was anyone else low on the law of priorities? Sarah.
Yeah.
I had a 1 on that score and I was like, oh shoot, okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's not,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm low in like a lot.
No, but this is so good for us all to learn, right? We can't do anything unless we know where we're at. And I was just asking because I feel like those two kind of go hand in hand, the law of priorities kind of. But the same with me with the law of the lid, I was actually lower in. And I realized the law of priorities, I don't delegate things very well at all. And so my lid is lower than what it could be if
exactly. It's like I know other things could be higher if I started at, and took these steps.
Awesome. I love it. Well, thank you for sharing. Well, speaking of the law of the lid, let's just dive in. We learn in this chapter that leadership ability determines a person's level of effectiveness and success. And I don't know about you guys, but to read that, to read those words, it's like, okay, this is where I need to grow. If I really want to be successful in anything, this isn't just about Beachbody business. This is about in parenting. This is about in just as a person, in general, your positive influence in other people, in your marriage and your relationships. This is really important. So really quickly recapping the story of the McDonald's brothers and Ray Kroc. Wasn't this so fascinating? So for those of you, if you didn't read it, I'll just really quickly recap. John C. Maxwell tells the story of the McDonald's brothers and how essentially the chain of McDonald's started, and how it's from these two brothers that were excellent business owners. They were great single business owners. They were great at profit, the profit margin, and they were relatively successful. They fed a need of a growing economy, a booming industry, and that this is where the need for fast food started, because people were driving more and they were busy, and so they're like, people need fast food, and that's where McDonald's started. But they had a low leadership lid because they couldn't see the vision for the future. And so they met Ray Kroc, who was selling ice cream machines, and the McDonald's brothers was one of his best clients. And he had a high leadership lid and vision for what it could be. And so he actually bought a franchise and grew it exponentially. So for those of you who did read that question or that story, here's a few other really quick statistics that I wrote down that I thought were really fascinating. So in the beginning, the McDonald's brothers instantly took a salary. Did you guys notice that? They instantly took a salary, and Kroc didn't take a salary for his first 8 years, and he even borrowed money from the bank and against his life insurance to pay the salaries of the leaders that he hired. And mind you, during all this, he's in his mid-50s. And I'm like, mid-50s, I'm looking at, I want to retire. Like, I want to slow down my life. And he started all of this and this sacrifice and this hard work when he was in his mid-50s. The McDonald's brothers couldn't think much beyond what was capable with their own two hands. They didn't see the vision. They didn't get it. But Kroc hired the sharpest people he could find and ended up making McDonald's a nationwide entity that he knew he couldn't do by himself. The McDonald's brothers grew an annual revenue of $350,000, which at that time was so successful. But Kroc bought exclusive rights to McDonald's for $2.7 million, and then he, because of his team, opened 100 restaurants between 1955 and 59. And today, because of his leadership, the company has opened more than 31,000 in 119 countries. Now, I'm not saying that that's the best thing for the health of our world, but from a business perspective, he is someone to learn from, right? So I really think it's amazing, this example. It teaches us that whatever we accomplish will be limited by our ability to lead other people. So here are a couple of questions that I'd love your guys' feedback on. So please don't be hesitant to unmute yourself or put it in the chat box. How effective will a person be if he increases his leadership, but not his work ethic, effort, or grind? And vice versa. How effective will a person be if he increases his work ethic, but not his leadership? Feel free to answer in either of those. If you have anything to share.
I would say not very
I
well,
can go.
obviously. We're all talking at the same time.
Go ahead, Sarah.
I would say I've worked with leaders who are both of those things. And if you're working with a leader who increases their leadership but not their work ethic, then you don't have any respect. The leader doesn't have any respect or credibility. And then if you're increasing your work ethic but not your leadership, you're going to burn yourself out.
100%. How many of us have experienced that? That's like that's my like default mechanism. I need to work harder. I need to work harder. And Sarah, I know that you and I have talked about this too. I need to work harder, when specifically with our business model, it is a model of leadership. It's actually not it's not a sales business model where you're just supposed to grind it out all the time and sell all the stuff all the time for the rest of your life. That's not how we're supposed to grow our business. How we effectively and efficiently grow our business model is through leadership and duplication and teaching other people how to be successful and to capture the vision with us, right? However, me personally, 5 years in, and I will say the majority of my success has been capped by this. I muscle it out. I push myself. I wake up early, and not saying those things are bad, but if it's not partnered with that leadership and learning how to teach other people this process, I have capped myself out because of this. So I'm super excited that we're doing this together. Jamie, there you are. Did you have something?
Sorry, I'm driving. I basically like what Sarah said. I was just trying to chime in.
Okay, I love it. Thank you. Okay, so that being said, what determines a person's leadership ability to you? What are clear signs of leadership strengths?
Honesty, I believe, is huge.
Agreed. Honesty, integrity. Think of the leaders in your life. Like, what are the attributes that make you think that they are a good leader?
The ability to empower and inspire.
Such a good one. All very good traits. If you guys haven't thought through these questions too, they're in the book, so I encourage you to like think through them because it's really helpful. So when you think of a positive leader, someone with honesty, integrity, influence, absolutely the ability to make people better. And we learned that a little bit in the next chapter, right? Affecting change. Those are all strong leadership statistics, qualities.
I think leading by example too, being the example, because for me, I feel like the reason I'm still here is because I have just consistently showed up. And what I mean by still here is, I feel like people want to follow me about fitness and about coaching and about, growth, because I feel like I keep showing up, talking about those things and showing how I fail and I get back up and showing how, it can be done. And I think that when you're the example, just like being a mom, when you're an example to your kids, they're going to follow that. They're not going to listen to what you say. They're going to watch what you do and follow that.
Totally agree. And I think that goes with hypocrisy is not a good, right, quality of leadership. People who try to be leaders or influencers, but they're not willing to do it themselves. They're not willing to go first. I agree. I think that's so powerful. And that's why in our business, what are our vital behaviors? Be a product of the product. You have to go first. You have to drink Shakeology every day. You have to figure out how to make your workout fit into your busy lifestyle. It's going to be hard. But if you're asking other people to do it, you have to figure it out. And I have to figure it out. And our nutrition, we have to go first, and it's not going to be easy. And I don't think that's the point. I don't think it's the point to show people how easy it is to live a vibrantly healthy life, because let's be honest, it's not in our day and age. So if our message is, look how easy this is, when it's hard, they're going to quit. What if we started being that leader that says, life is hard, and this is going to be hard, but it's okay because you're strong and it's worth it. And we start making that our message, Thanks for sharing that, Lisa. Okay. And then lastly, I wanted to, on this chapter, wrapping up this chapter before we move on to the 2, on a scale of 1 to 10, if you could just put this in the chat, how would you rate your leadership? And then up to now, how dedicated have you been to developing yourself as a leader? And how are you going to increase that dedication? Madison is super about this leadership development. She's like, it's all about me. Just so you guys know too, at the end of this chapter, there's questions to ask someone, and I've gotten a couple messages from you guys asking what my answers would be. So I typed them and I put them in in our event page on Facebook. Thank you guys for sharing your numbers. And this is what I want us to do with these numbers. I think it's super important to never get discouraged or be down on ourselves, because up until this point, I can pretty much guarantee none of us have prioritized growing in this area. And so we can't expect to have a high number naturally. It doesn't happen by osmosis. Like, it requires intentional effort, just like our nutrition requires intentional effort. And so now that we know, we can do something about it. And then moving forward, we can re-rate ourselves and watch ourselves grow, because now we're gonna have a plan to do that, right? Okay, moving into chapter 2, the law of influence. Love this. And I think it's so valid for our job, right? Can you guys hear me okay? Okay. Liam, no, absolutely not. Get down right now. Until my mom gets back from Mexico, these calls are always going to be like the wild, wild west. My son was just jumping off of the coffee table onto the couch. Okay, law of influence. If I could just influence my children a little bit more effectively, that would be fantastic. The desire of all mothers. Okay, so the true measure of leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. If you don't have influence, you'll never be able to lead others. So as we have our eyes set on, pretty much everyone in here has their eyes set on growing their team to diamond, star diamond, having residual income, having joy in this business, really helping people transform their lives, both with physically, mentally, emotionally with our programs, and also financially with the business. If we are not influential to people, if we are not influencing them with the tools that we have, then we have no leadership. And so for people who say, I want to build to diamond and star diamond, yet you're inconsistent in your message, you're inconsistent in whether that's showing up on social media, or inconsistent in connecting with people, or inconsistent in influencing the people in your family or in your close circle of friends, and you're letting fear get in the way, I'm going to throw the scooter off of the balcony if you do that again. There's a disconnect between what we say we want and what we're actually doing, you know? And I think that this is just such a clear picture where we can rate ourselves. How am I influencing people? If we're struggling on social media and we're only posting, you know, stuff about being how grumpy or whatever, I don't know. Are we really influencing people? To me, that is the amazing gift of social media. How I've always seen it is it's an amazing platform to influence a lot of broken and lost people who are seeing nothing but toxicity on social media. That's my mission field. They need an influence of light and hope and love and growth, and someone to challenge them to respond better and be better and live better, right? And I've seen a lot of you make that shift, and you also are being powerful forces of influence on social media. But again, it doesn't have to be there. The very essence of all power to influence lies in getting the other person to participate. This quote to me, Liam, I'm gonna need you to go to your room, bud. Hold 1 second. What did you do? Did you hurt your finger? Okay. I'm gonna need you to go. Listen, I'm gonna need you to go to your room or listen on the couch with your brother. Right now. Okay, so that quote that's in this chapter, the very essence of all power to influence lies in getting the other person to participate. Does that shift anything for you guys when it comes to, I don't know, your VOD groups, or how to post on social media, or how to have conversations, or how to coach people? Influencing people, you're just getting them to take action. How can you get people to take action with your platforms on social media and in your VOD groups, like in your conversations? How can you do that? I just thought that was such a good quote that triggered a lot of ideas for me in my own head. He who thinks he leads but has no followers is only taking a walk. Boom. So good. I love that. Okay, interaction. Have you ever thought about leadership in this way? How do you rate your influence factor right now? And what things can you identify that you can do to increase your influence? Please feel free to unmute yourself and share. I'm gonna read that again. Have you ever thought about leadership in this way of influence? How do you rate your own influence factor right now? And what things can you identify that you can do to increase your influence? Chat or unmute yourself, whatever is easier for you.
I
I know for me, oh, sorry.
no go.
I've gotten better about this, but I still struggle with being consistent on like posting. I'm pretty good about consistency with like posting in my stories, and I've been doing that for a couple of years, but posting a post daily, I don't know what it is in my brain that like I end up not doing it, and then the next day I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even post yesterday. But as far as social media goes, I feel like just consistency is where I've been lacking. But I mean, I feel like I've still been better than like in the past. So I don't know. Like I got somebody signed up with me yesterday on a day when I was just so busy, and I was like, I'm just gonna post like something really quick about like the before and afters. And it actually ended up a lead. So it's like at least taking even the small actions that I feel like for some reason I get into my head about. I'm like, oh, I don't want to just post that. Like I've already posted that before or whatever. It's still better than nothing. So.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Lisa, did you have something?
I was just gonna say, I feel like as far as influencing for clients, I think I'm great. But I think as far as coaching, I feel like I am unapproachable in that way, because I feel like people look at me on social media and see me, we've talked about this before, see me as some like crazy fit person that, I have all this experience and, that's what you need. And I feel like a mom sitting at home isn't going to look at me and say, hey, I can do that too. So for me to adjust, I kind of have been thinking that maybe I want to start trying to focus on reaching out to fitness people who are already in fitness, and showing them what the potential of this business could be for them. Because I feel like, I don't want to say I'm wasting my time the other way. I just feel like the other people don't really relate in the way of, she can do that, I can do that, And so I feel like I need to adjust in that way.
I think that's a fantastic adjustment. And I've always thought that about you. Like, and again, this is where we talked about niche before. There is an ideal person that breathes life to you to work with rather than sucks it out of you, and also Danielle Natoni. I would learn everything from her because she is the epitome of what you just talked about. She has a very edgy personality, and she is started as a fitness professional, very skinny. I mean, I just listened to her recently, again, tell her story, and that's who she is, and she's built an extremely successful business. So I think for this, and this is for all of us, right? Success leaves clues. And so if you're struggling with something and you know where you want to go, find someone who's done it and then learn from them. And thankfully we have the YouTube and, all of that. So I think that's a fantastic decision, Felisa. I would say commit to it for 90 days and really shift your marketing and evaluate after those 90 days, like, how do I like this? How is it working? There's such a missed market in marketing to fitness professionals. It is tricky, but you are one. I'm not one. And so I don't have that. I can talk to health coaches and nurses, but I can't talk to fitness professionals as well as you can. But I would personally start making webinars for fitness professionals and the benefits of integrating Beachbody into your business. and specifically talk to the objections they're going to have and specifically talk to why it's the benefits. Also, watch Vito Lafata on YouTube because he's extremely successful and has been doing this forever and makes a stupid amount of money with Beachbody because he went to 15-star diamond just by marketing to fitness professionals, gym owners, and personal trainers. So I love it. I think that's awesome. Okay.
Say what?
Anyone else?
Don't say what?
My gosh.
What do we don't say?
What is the most basic factor you can use to determine if someone
What
is a
do we
leader
don't say,
or
Logie?
not?
What do we don't say?
I'm trying to flip to my book where I wrote down my answer of this. I agree, Elena, the influence they have on others and their ability to affect change. Did you guys read about like the difference between a manager and a leader? Madison, you are not being really helpful right now. I think that that's something that's really important for us to recognize and write down, that a leader influences people to be successful. They influence people towards something positive. They're not influencing fear. They're influencing empowerment, right? In today's day and age, we have a true leadership deficiency crisis in our culture, on social media, in our country. There's an opportunity in that we have been called to. It's just not everyone's going to step up to the plate. The next question was, what is the difference between management versus leadership? And we talked about that. I think, unless anyone has any other thoughts, is the ability to affect change he talks about. And are people following them? Yeah, absolutely. Okay, when do you find yourself being influenced by other people, and why is it effective on you? So think of a time someone has influenced you to do or buy something or to think a certain way. Why is their influence effective on you?
Autumn Calabrese, because I want to be her.
Okay, so let's go deeper with that. Why do you want to be her?
She's successful. One of the things that kind of cracks me up. So she, in one of her videos, she talks about how she thought to herself before she even met Carl, how do you become Tony Horton? And it made me think, it's like, and she was saying how she thought it should have happened in like 2 years, but it took 12. But I want to be her because I think she is no nonsense, but at the same time truly cares. She's extremely passionate about what she does. And she's determined, like she sticks to it. She doesn't stop. The woman just keeps pushing forward and becoming more successful and coming up with new ways to do that. She's confident. She doesn't apologize. Oh, that's like the biggest one. She never apologizes for who she is and what she believes. And I think that's probably the biggest reason I admire her, because I feel like I'm a lot like her in a lot of ways. But the one thing I feel like I do is, even if it's just in my own head, I apologize for being me, for being so strong, for being so adamant about my beliefs, and being so like in my head I feel like, oh, I'm coming across too strong, I'm coming across too too much. But she doesn't, and I love it. I love that, and she's successful. And she's a fitness professional in the Beachbody world. all of it, like everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I would write down those things, that influence you and make you feel inspired and encouraged, and make that like when you in the mornings, when you're setting your intention for your day, who am I going to be today and what kind of influence do I want to have on others? Do you want to have that same influence of making people feel that they can live an unapologetic life, that inspired, that they're fierce yet with grace, where it's not, she doesn't push her views necessarily on other people, but this is what she stands for, and she's confident, and she's received a lot of criticism in the face, and then so maybe ask yourself, in the face of adversity, what would Autumn do? Like how would I want to influence other people when things get really hard? How would I want to do that? And then those are your oh my gosh, those are your sparks for your posts on social media and your videos, and doing it with joy though, because she smiles through it too, and finding joy in the journey and all that. So I love it. That's awesome. Anyone else want to share?
I would say Brene Brown is somebody who from a leader standpoint of just changing how women, how we treat ourselves and how we treat each other in that women culture, changing that movement, which begins with yourself and practicing gratitude. And I want to live with a joyful heart. That is something I've always wanted. And it comes through it's such a long process to get there, but she has kind of spoken to that, and just kind of shifting our mindset as women. We are so hard on ourselves, and then in turn, when we're hard on ourselves and we're hurting, we're hard on other people. And I am so guilty of that. I am guilty of being judgmental. I'm guilty of getting caught up in those horrible conversations about other people throughout my life. But I'm trying to shift that, because we need to build each other up, and we're in such a negative culture of tearing people down. And it just, after listening to her podcast, that is what I want to live. I want to live to be Brene Brown.
I love it so much. And this is I want everyone to pay attention, because this is why this works. Our personalities, Brene and Autumn Calabrese personalities, are very different. They're both amazing women, and that's great. But we have to find the type of leader, personality, and influence in our people. This is why it's so important for us to identify our people who will resonate with who we are in our truest form and who we are speaking to. And this is, I'm so glad that you guys spoke one after the other, because those two leaders are so powerful for so many tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, but they are different in their approach and their message. And so in our business, we need to identify with who do we want to be influential of, you know what I mean? I agree, Jamie. I think that's right.
I was just going to add, if you look at those two situations, Felisa, Autumn is your girl, right? And Brene Brown is my girl from our very different backgrounds, right? You are a health and fitness expert, in my opinion, and I am not, but I lean towards social work and wanting to just care for people. So we're caring in that, we care for people so deeply, just because I know Felisa's heart, but we have such a different way that we get there. Yeah. And so I think that's what's really awesome about this process, and just what we have to share is we are going to capture very different people. And I was just telling one of my girls that same thing, you're unique to you. Jess has always said that from the beginning, but I didn't see that in myself, because we end up comparing to other people, and we try to do what, I try to do it for a long time. I've tried to do what Jess has done, or what Sarah's done, or what Felisa's done, and then it just doesn't work for me because it's not who I am. So I do think it's important to find that kind of leadership person that you look up to, for sure.
Yes.
And I love that message though, Jamie, though. I actually completely agree with it. And I think one of the things too, to kind of point out when you're talking about how different Autumn and Brene is as leaders, they actually both have that message of championing each other, championing women and not tearing each other down. I've heard Autumn talk about that, but they talk about it differently. You know, Autumn's kind of like in your face, like, just freaking stop. And she's kind of more of like, you know, this is just ridiculous and we don't need to do this. And Brene gets more into, like, you know, you were talking about, Jamie, where she gets more into like why we do it, and, you know, more of the taking action to not do that, and a more of a softer approach. But that's, and I think, I love both of them, but yeah, I totally agree with you that people are gonna, different people are gonna come to me than that come to Jamie or to Sarah or to Jessica or Celicia.
And that's a good thing. And that's something we all should capitalize on and get more fine-tuned in, rather than trying to be white noise and speaking to everyone. You know, there's a huge benefit to that. Awesome, guys. Thanks for sharing. Okay, lastly, chapter 3, the law of process. This was a good one for me. Again, how many other impatient women out there where you're like, I wasn't successful in 30 days, so this is not for me, right? So many coaches in 5 years have signed up with me and quit within 1 month or 1 week because, oh yeah, this doesn't work for me. You didn't even get a chance. And that's one of the things I love about the McDonald's and Kroc, like Ray Kroc. 8 years he didn't take a salary. In his mid-50s is when he started. That's incredible, you know? And not to say that I have the tenacity and strength to do that. Like, that is, yeah, never stop starting. I think that that's so important. So he talks about leadership develops daily, not in a day. Becoming a leader is a lot like investing successfully in the stock market. If your hope is to make a fortune in a day, you're not going to be successful. There are no successful day traders in leadership development. What matters most is what you do day by day over the long haul. And in this business, it's so hard to not get wrapped up in the monthly success club. And if I miss success club, I'm a failure. How many people have felt that way? You know, it's our recognition system with Beachbody makes it hard to have that consistent long-term vision versus just the short-term vision. And that's not to say that things like Success Club aren't important and aren't great, but it's not the thing. We don't wake up. Thing is, Danielle, I can't remember, or Julie Voris said, we don't wake up at 4:30 in the morning to hit Success Club. We wake up at 4:30 in the morning to change people's lives. And the things that we do day by day with our daily trackers and being consistent with our own daily journey and our own personal development is what is going to make things like Success Club happen, because of the day by day actions we're taking. The process of growth through the hard things, through having consistent conversations with people, through constantly having objections and then learning how, like, why people have that objection or that perspective, and learning how to navigate those conversations through doing it wrong and learning how to do it right. The process of growth. So I think for us, this is absolutely applicable and super important. And I don't know about you guys, but learning about Teddy Roosevelt's childhood, if you read that, was so fascinating. I didn't know any of that. I was telling my husband, like, my husband's a huge history buff, and I'm like, did you know this about Teddy Roosevelt and his childhood and how weak he was as a kid? And he goes, no, I should know more, but I don't. I'm like, yeah, that's right. I just taught you something. Just kidding. Love the quote, champions don't become champions in the ring. They are merely recognized there. If you want to see where someone develops into a champion, look at his daily routine. In our business, champions are celebrated with things like elite, star diamond recognition, getting quarterly bonuses, Success Club. But that's not where champions are made. You don't just become an elite team, right? It's through the day-to-day things that we do together. It's through these calls. It's through making time to read this book when you're wanting to fall asleep in bed. It's through getting up early. It's through those things. That's where the accomplishments that we get to celebrate happen. I think a lot of people miss that. Okay, so for those of you who read Teddy Roosevelt's story, so they talked about how he was basically in our nation's history, one of the strongest, physically, mentally agile presidents that we've ever had. And he was born into a wealthy Manhattan family, and he was a very sickly child. He was very thin and frail, and he had debilitating asthma and all these things stacked against him. And his dad basically told him one day when he was 12 that you have the mind, but you don't have the body. And your mind can only go where the body leads it to. And so if you want the body, you're going to have to work for it. And at that point in his life is when he started showing up every day and lifting weights and rowing and hunting and fishing and hiking and training his body so that when he graduated from Harvard, he had become that person. He talks about learning from his dad and these other men in his life who were ready for the challenge when it came. And he wanted to be a man that was ready to take on the day, to take on life as it came. And he became that man because he worked for it. And throughout his presidency and even before, and he was the New York police commissioner, I didn't know that. And all of these things that he achieved, he always did and was known for his vigorous boxing routine, doing judo, and crazy, like a crazy famous hunter and explorer. He was always training, always learning. Even on the night he died, he was bound with a book under his pillow because he was always looking to learn and grow and challenge himself. So if you didn't read it, there's kind of a recap. What are some things Roosevelt included in his daily agenda that contributed to his leadership ability? I touched on a few of them, but was there anything that stuck out to you guys?
I just liked that he was so persistent and he knew what he wanted. And so he made sure that he did, work out or whatever, all of the sports and things that he did in order to better himself because he knew what he needed to do to get and where he wanted to be. And so he made sure he did that every day.
Yeah, I agree. That commitment, like.
Exactly. Yeah, he was so determined.
So I didn't read it, but it's kind of funny that that's what you that was in there, because I was actually just thinking yesterday, day before yesterday, on my way home from work, because for those of you who don't know, I went back to work full time. Talk about growth. I have been feeling like a failure pretty much in all areas of life except for the job. And Elena knows a little bit of the struggle, but I actually thought to myself, well, maybe this is just it. Maybe I should just quit coaching because it's so much and I'm not doing a good job. And I'm not doing the things that I feel like I need to do as a coach. And that's just making me feel worse about myself. And, I have a job. Maybe this just isn't what I thought it was going to be. And honestly, looking back on it right now, talking about it, it was probably because it felt like the easy way out. It felt easier to just do that. But then I thought about it and I was like, and it was kind of funny that yesterday I started getting these messages and stuff out of nowhere. It's like the universe or God, whatever you believe, sends you what you need when you need it. I got a random message from a friend who I haven't talked to in years. And she basically just said, I just wanted to say I saw your video on Facebook and you are crying, of course, Jamie. You are the woman. You motivate, you inspire me so much. I love your determination. And, she was just talking about that. And then I had a couple other people reach out for other things. And I thought about it and I was like, Felisa, if you quit now, this entire year that you have spent being consistent and showing up and reaching out and building relationships and being a real, kind-hearted, inspiring person, it's going to go away because you're going to have to start all over again if you want to, right? When you're ready, when it's easy, when you feel like, you don't have to struggle so much. And so I was like, no, I'm giving it another year. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to see if I can find my way through this because it's not easy trying to work a full-time job with 3 kids and commuting an hour both ways, still trying to get your workout in. You're talking about getting up at 6 a.m. to do a run before I go, to work, driving an hour, going to work for sometimes 9.5 hours, driving an hour back, coming home, working out again, doing my actual workout, meal prepping and planning for my next day, putting out my clothes, and then trying to find time for my kids. And then it's coaching, it doesn't really happen as much, And so I'm saying this to you guys because the whole Teddy Roosevelt thing, it's the same thing. It's like life throws things at you and you have to adjust. But that adjustment period can be the hardest thing you ever go through. So that's what I'm dealing with right now.
Yeah, absolutely. That is so challenging. And I'm proud of you for like processing through all the emotions of it. And you hit the nail on the head. It would be easier to quit coaching, 100%. And I've also felt that way several times in the last 5 years. It would be easier. And I don't have to think about this other responsibility. But again, I don't think as a leader, and for all of us here, that our job is to live an easy life. I don't think that's what we're called to. I think that there's something more. And Felisa, how many different women are you going to relate to now that you couldn't relate to when you started your coaching journey because COVID shut down and you weren't working and you were just coaching, which is an amazing gift. But at the same time, it's unrelatable to so many other women in the business who are working full time. Honestly, my 2 years working in prison while growing this business are my most valuable because I know what it's like to have that be really hard, but I also see what it could get me. And so you're teaching people as you're learning yourself, how do I craft a vision that's going to make me still show up in 30 minutes a day to do this business when I don't want to, because it's really hard. My flesh doesn't want to. I'm so tired. But this is what it could get me. This is the impact I could have on other people. So I'm a firm believer that these chapters in all of our lives that we have, they are what make us great. They really do happen for us, even though that those growing pains hurt. They are so hard. In the questions I answered for that, the leadership questions I put in a Facebook group event page, one of the questions was like, what do you attribute your leadership growth to? And I wrote in there before this call, it's my dark times in life. My hardest times in life is why I have any leadership skills. Because I always maintained moldable and teachable. And I knew that I was learning those lessons, not just for me, but so that I could hold someone else's hand when they were going through it afterwards. And that's leadership, is influence and helping people get through their hard times and show them that there's hope, there's light at the end of the tunnel. But we can't necessarily do things in our hard times like we did before when life was comfortable. We have to learn how to pivot, and shift things. So anyways, I think that's really powerful. Thanks, Felisa, for sharing that. Okay, a couple more things. I know we're at the 10 o'clock hour. This was a lot to cram into 1 hour. It's the capacity to develop and improve their skills that distinguishes leaders from their followers. That was really good. Bye, Salisha. The capacity to develop and improve our skills that distinguishes us from a leader versus a follower. Successful leaders are learners. The goal each day must be to get a little better, to build on the previous day's progress. And I have a couple questions, but I know we're at the top of the hour. So was there anything that specifically stood out to you about this one that you guys wanted to share other than what we've talked about? It really, to me, taught me, really drove home the point that according to the law process, you must be committed to be a successful leader. And that it is a process over long term, not in a year or 2 or 3, but in the long run, we have to be committed to continue to grow. Anything else you guys want to share before we jump off? Was this helpful? Like these first 3 chapters, diving into them, was it helpful for you guys? Oh my gosh. As I hear my 3-year-old, Mom, can you come wipe my butt? You timed that one well.
It was helpful. Thanks, Jess. I'm behind in the book, so I feel like I didn't have a lot to add. So next time I will make sure to be more up to speed, but I'm really loving this so far.
Me too.
I'm
Also, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm behind on the workbook part. I listened to on Audible all 3 chapters, but I have to catch up with my input. So I apologize.
No, don't worry. I knew that this week was gonna be a lot. 3 chapters is a lot in the middle of life. Like I knew that. So give yourself grace. There's some things in here that's like influence 5 different people in your life and then evaluate over the course of the week. Don't worry so much about, and I mean, if you can do them, that's great. I didn't do that. So I'm gonna just be honest with you guys that I know a lot of life is happening. I think the questions are really valuable, and then do what you want or you can of the exercises. But if you can't do them, don't worry about it.
Ladies, I haven't even started, so there you go.
Great. You got it.
Yes.
Cool. Well, thank you guys so much. Hold on, Liam. Thank you guys so much for jumping on today. I hope you have an amazing day. And I will get our calendar uploaded here soon so that everyone can make sure on the same page. Don't forget about your promo codes. Have a great day, guys. Bye.